All right, hi again. My name's Mike Jauregui. I'm with Michael J. Owen Music Education Fund, and I'm here to talk to you about the trombone. On our last video, we discussed the maintenance of your instrument, and we discussed how to grease your slide if you had slide grease, which when you get your trombone kit, usually you have cream. If you don't have cream and you have oil, I'm going to show you how you do that real quick before we get started on how to play your first notes. You're going to need your oil, take off the cap, and you get ready to grease your slide. And how you do that is you take it and you make sure that the rubber stop is on the ground. Make sure your slide is unlocked and you're keeping a finger on it so that it doesn't fall out of your hands. Now what you're going to do is you're going to just rest it on the ground, lift it up, and you're going to take your oil and you're just going to drop a couple drops on your slide. And then you're going to rub it all through. Once you have it rubbed through, lock your slide, take the cap, put it back on the oil. Very simple thing. You still want to do the cleaning off of your slide every single time, just like we discussed in the last video, so that you have a nice lubricated slide to go through the day. So now let's talk about your first notes. In order to start talking about your first notes, we need to know how the trombone works and how we know how to play all these notes. So how we understand the trombone and how to play it is by what we call positions. Our slide positions are based on the distance that we take our slide and we move it down to make the instrument longer. So our first position is going to be all the way up at the top. We call that position 1. Okay, so we have position 1. Position 2, what we're going to do is we're going to extend out by about an inch, maybe an inch and a half. And we're going to, depending on how long your slide is, but usually you want to see about this much of the inner slide, okay? And that's position 2. Position 3 is taking it until the brace that you're resting your fingers on reaches about right before the bell, okay? That's position 3. Position 4 is where you take the outer sleeve. You can see the edge of the outer slide. You want that just past the bell. Now, to discuss fifth position is just a little bit further out, but it's further than you think. It's always a little closer to what we call sixth position. Now, sixth position is as far as your arm is probably going to go, okay? And that is how far you know where 6 is. 5 is just before that, okay? We always want to try to make it closer to 4, but it's really closer to 6. The last position, called seventh position, which you might have trouble reaching, which is all the way out by the stocking, where that line is that we talked about in the last lesson, where you grease your slide. That's about 7th position. In order to play these notes and to understand these positions, we have to become very fluid with how we make it happen, okay? So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're nice and loose, that we're keeping everything relaxed. So the first thing you're going to do is we're going to learn your first note called B flat, okay? And this is played in first position. And what you're going to do is you're going to play it and you're going to loosen your lips to its fully relaxed point. And this is how it sounds. So B flat, first position. Remember that our lips is like the electric guitar, right? We have to buzz it in order to play it right. Now, if you're having trouble playing that note and it's going too high, if the pitch is a little higher, then that means that your lips are a little too tight or you're putting too much fast air into the instrument that's causing it to go higher. If you're trying to get up to that note, then that means that you're playing with fast air, which is good. But now what we want to do is we want to make sure that it's nice and relaxed. And how we do that is by approaching the air. We want to make sure that it feels like you have a hot potato in your mouth. So you have that hot potato in your mouth and you want to slow the air down. And that's how you play that low B flat. Hot potato, and you want to be nice and relaxed. Don't push the air too hard. You want to make nice warm air. And that's low B flat. Okay, so that's B flat in first position. Now we're going to discuss your next note, which is C. And C is played in sixth position. So you're going to take your arm and you're going to extend it as far as you can. Okay? Now, as trombone players, this is probably the craziest thing. We have to go from our first position that we learned on our first note, and now we have to extend it all the way out. And that is our next note, C. So it sounds like this. And that is how we play C. And then finally, our last note that we're going to learn today is D. And that's played in fourth position. So let's go ahead and look at our slide chart again. We have our first, second, third right before the bell, and fourth right past the bell. So that is where we're going to be to play the note D. And it sounds like this. So let's go ahead and review our notes, and let's just play them in nice long tones. We're going to play one tone each. We're going to start with B flat. We're going to hold it for a long time. We're going to switch to C, hold it for a while, and then switch to D and hold that for a while. Okay? So let's start with B flat. Breathe with me. Switch to C. And finally switch to D. All right, so you've learned your first notes for the day, and on our next lesson we're going to learn the song Hot Cross Buns. So I'll see you on the next video.